everybody, it's Josie here. I am doing a bit of probably a long video today, so grab a cup of coffee, make yourself comfortable. So what I've been doing is I've been looking at my bookshelves and I did a little count up of my TBR, so which of the books had I not read, and it came to a staggering 76 books. So in that spirit, I thought what I'd do is I'd pick the 19 books that I'm planning to read in the first half of the year. So in June, I'm going to do another one of these, tell you whether or not I read all 19 books, and then give you the 19 books that I absolutely have to read for the remainder of the year. Now, these are not new releases. They're not ones that I'm planning to buy or have bought. These are raw books that are sitting on my bookshelves that I purchased, meant to read, and then didn't get around to them, but actually still want to read. So I got rid of some that I thought I'd bought them and it just wasn't my taste anymore, or I just didn't think I was ever going to get round to it, so why torture myself? So these ones are the ones that I absolutely want to read, and I had every intention of reading them when I bought them, but then others got in the way. So, like I said, make yourself comfortable, and here we go. So the first one I've got here is The Immortalists. Now, the premise of this one sounds really interesting. You've got a group of people, teenagers, that know when they're going to die, and this asks the question, if you know when you're going to die, how do you live your life? Does that change the way you live your life? And I think this is really, really interesting concept, and I bought it when I was in Waterstones in London. I probably read the first page, was so meaning to read it when I got back, and then I didn't. But it sounds amazing. I definitely need to read it, and I want to read it, so that's the first one. Speaking of death, the second one I've got here is The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, and this is this great sprayed. I love this, I bought this, I loved it, it looks beautiful, it's a great book. So the premise of this, again, is really interesting. It is our protagonist Aidan, who has to solve the murder of Evelyn Hardcastle, and you live the day over and over again, so he's always too late to save her, so the only way to save her is to figure out who killed her. And I believe he comes back as different people, so he doesn't come back as himself every time. So I thought that was an interesting concept, and just the idea of having to, relive events. I quite like that whole sliding doors thing. So this one sounds really good, and I need to get to it. The next one is this one over here, The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I can't believe I haven't read this yet. So many people have recommended it to me. So many people have said it's amazing. It is queer fantasy, which you don't get that much of, and yeah, it's the first book in a series. It's kind of I guess the premise is sort of post-apocalyptic, so it kind of says it's the world ends for the last time and what happens, and you have this group of people that are surviving in that. So it sounds really good. Like I said, queer fantasy, right up my alley. However, I haven't gotten to it yet. I will, and if I enjoy this, I'm definitely planning to carry on with the series, but at the moment I've only got the first book. The next one is a classic, and I can't believe I haven't read this, but Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I have seen various film and TV adaptations of it, but I definitely need to read this. It's about the protagonist. You never actually find out what the name of the protagonist is, and she marries this wealthy man. She goes and lives in his estate, in his castle, and she kind of becomes obsessed by his ex-wife, Rebecca. So it's dark gothic thriller, which I love. Again, everybody says this is great. I definitely need to read it in the first half of this year. I'm also planning on reading a classic every month. So part of my goals are to read a classic every month and to also read a big book every month. And by big book, I mean 500 plus pages. So I actually think, I'm not sure that Evelyn Castle is, but that's definitely a bigger book. So then the next one, my little aside there, is this book over here. It's by Kate Tempest, and I believe this is her first novel, and it's The Bricks That Built the Houses. And this is a contemporary, I believe, about a group of friends living their life in London. Again, there's queer characters in here, and I love anything that's about friendship and friendship groups and kind of complex nature of friendship groups. So again, right up my alley. This is also a gorgeous book. I don't know what it is about this. I like this book. Must read. The next one, speaking of big books, this is definitely a big book. This is gorgeous. Look at that shiny cover. Look how big that is. So this is The Passage. And I have been told that this is amazing. A lot of the reviews are amazing. So it's I believe a vampire, it's fantasy. It's kind of again, post-apocalyptic vampire story is what I've been told. It sounds good. It looks good. I love vampires. I love anything to do with sort of vampires. I like horror. So I'm kind of anticipating good things from this, but it is very long. So this is going to be one of my chunky reads. The next one is this book over here. So it's The Nowhere Girls. And this is I believe about a group of friends who take revenge for one of their friends. I think she's been raped, if I'm not mistaken. So they take revenge. And again, this is something, this book is kind of in the genre that I love. It's female friendships, it's complicated female friendships, it's messed up circumstances. And again, I've been meaning to get to this one. I just haven't. The next one, speaking of kids, is this one over here, is The Meddling Kids by Edgar Cantero. Now, this was described as a Stranger Things meets like the Scooby Gang. And I loved that. I loved that description. And that was all I needed to know. So I have, again, been dying to get to this. It's a very cool cover, another cool cover. But yeah, it sounds really interesting, sounds fun. Who doesn't love Stranger Things? And I don't think there'll be a series this year. So this is going to be my substitute, this lovely book. Then the next one, speaking of complex friendships, is The Serpent King by Jeff Setner. This, again, is about friends. One of the main characters' father's in prison, and it's sort of the power of friendship and overcoming obstacles. Again, totally up my alley, what I love to read. Why have I not read it yet? Your guess is as good as mine. The next one is this one over here, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Again, I'm really late to the party on this. Everybody says that this, well, not everybody, but a lot of people say that the series is really good. And it is basically space, it's fantasy, but I've been told that it's very, so it's not very sort of scientific spacey. It's more, again, about the people that go up on this spaceship away from Earth into the stratosphere. There's queer characters, and yeah, queer space sounds fantastic. Again, this is the first in a series. If I like it, I will continue with the series. The next one is Solitaire by Alice Oseman. I adored Radio Silence. It was one of my favorite books of the year last year, and it was beautiful, and it really made me want to read more Alice Oseman. And I happened to find this one in a charity shop, actually, so I bought it. I believe this is her first novel. Again, it's about friendship, and I think on the front it says, this is not a love story, which I love. And it's about a girl who, I believe she's a bit of an outcast at school, and then she's befriended by this group called Solitaire. So it sounds intriguing. Can't wait to get to that one. Speaking of can't wait, Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe, Fanny Flagg. This is another one, lesbian classic. It is in the vein of Evelyn Hugo and 13th Tale, which I am just about to finish, which I love. And this was recommended by Cece from Problems of a Book Nerd, because 13th Tale, this book, and Evelyn Hugo are two of her favorites. And Evelyn Hugo and 13th Tale now two of my favorites, so I figured I will read the trilogy. And this is, again, a woman telling, an older woman telling her life story, and actually the life story of other people that she encountered, and to another character, or to a couple of other characters. So I like that narrative. Again, it's about friendship, it's about moving through life, talking about your life story, and it is queer as well. So definitely one on my list. The next one is another science fiction. So again, I'm trying to read a lot more of my, I went through a spate of buying sort of science fiction-y books, and this one, Slow River, by Nicola Griffith, is, again, it's a queer sci-fi, and I mean, that was pretty much all I needed to know. I think it's post-apocalyptic as well. The cover is incredibly cool. Yeah, and I need to read it. I think I need to do a sci-fi month. Then the next one I've got here is Bloody Rose. This is a fantasy, and this is, again, the main character is queer, so you've got a girl-girl romance, and this is really cool. So this girl here, Bloody Rose, puts together a group of mercenaries, and they go out and they fight and they pillage, and I love that idea. So, you know, kind of Viking-y fighting females with a girly romance. I love it. Sounds amazing. Again, one of the big books on my list, but definitely need to get to that. A few more to go. Then this one over here, Black Wave by Michelle T. Or Tia. I never know how to say her name. Tia. I read her book Valencia. I love Michelle Tia. Again, she is a kind of a bit of a lesbian icon. And this book just sounds hella weird, but it's set in the 1990s, the grunge era, bit of a road trip, a kind of disparate group of characters, and right up my alley. And again, another very cool cover. Only 5 more to go. This one over here, Wonder Woman. This I purely bought because I love Wonder Woman. I love the mythology of Wonder Woman. I love what Wonder Woman stands for, strong, tough, powerful woman. And Leigh Bardugo wrote a sort of a tie-in or a kind of a standalone story on Wonder Woman. And yeah, I need to read it. The next one is another classic. It's The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Yes, I haven't read this. Yes, I know, I'm terrible. But yeah, I will get to it. It's supposed to be funny, space, caper, weird Englishness. It sounds incredible. The next one is this gorgeous book over here. This is Heartless by Marissa Mayer. This was another one of my charity shop purchases. And I got this for like a couple of pounds, this gorgeous hardback kind of leather-bound version of Heartless. And this is a Alice in Wonderland retelling. Again, all I need to know, I love Alice in Wonderland retellings. I'm still planning on doing a video about all the Alice in Wonderland retellings that I like and I would recommend. So I need to get to this one. Plus, it's just the most beautiful book. Last two. Then the next one, speaking of beautiful books, is Kate Atkinson, Transcription. I love this cover, I love the colour, I love flamingos. This is beautiful as well. I actually managed to pick this up in the Waterstone sale. And this one is about a woman who in the 50s, I believe she was like a spy, she was in MI5. And then the story continues and she's just working as a journalist and then her past kind of pulls her back. So, sounds intriguing. I love Kate Atkinson. She's written some of my favourite books. Human Croquet, Behind the Scenes in Museum, Emotionally Weird is one of my favourite books. So, Time After Time is incredible. So, high hopes on that one. And then the last one, you'll be happy to know, is Vox. And this was another one I meant to read when I got it. It's a dystopian feminist novel about women not being able to speak. And I got this around the same time I got The Power, which I loved. I loved The Power. And I know I'm going to love this. I just haven't read it yet. And I can tell you now, this is on my TBR for February. I already have planned most of my TBR for February, and this book is on it. So there you go. Those are all 19 books I'm planning to read for the first half of the year. I'll be back again in June. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope there are some books that you'd be interested in reading. If you've read any of these, tell me. Let me know if they're good, if they're bad, if I should bother. But yeah, I will speak to you guys soon. Bye-bye.